Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
Good, good. Yeah, how are you?
Good. I love what you guys are doing at Blockdata. We're going to speak about it. We're going to share as much, believe me, as much as you can share with the Coin Nations audience, all your reports and contribution to the space. It's amazing. It's amazing. We're going to talk about it today. But first, maybe you can give a little bit of a background about who you are and what is your background in the blockchain crypto space, and then your role.
Sure. So actually have a maths, physics, and computing background. So really trying to understand, how technology works from its lowest levels and learn about, Bitcoin back all the way back in 2012, where there was the magic internet money Reddit advert, where I was someone who didn't invest at the time, but it always was interesting to think, okay, well, shared sources of truth, kind of what could this do for society? One thing led to another, got involved in the startup scene, and generally just was like, hey, startups, the group of people here, they're trying to build the future. And that is where in 2018 started Blockdata, because we felt that there was a lot of pricing information as well as a lot of on-chain information, but where was the information on who's actually building what technology, who are they partnering with, what products are they building? And that is actually the problem that Blockdata really tries to solve, is who's working with who, what are they building, and really what are the bigger trends that are going on in the ecosystem. So yeah, my role there is primarily, I would say, an ecosystem builder, speaking to a lot of the companies, trying to raise the awareness of what's going on in the ecosystem, and generally just trying to, make sure that all of our research and everything is happening in a timely manner, and kind of, being one of the how to say it, hustlers as it is,
Yeah,
operators.
and as I know from previous talk that we had, you are talking with major institutions with, we don't need to mention names, but I know that you're talking with all these huge institutions. Like, how is it, like, what's going on in the last year that made all of them interested in this space, and specifically you working in with the biggest? What
Yeah,
happened?
so I think it's actually been going on for more than a year. I think the financial institutions and people in the innovation departments are looking at blockchain technology, and they're kind of sitting there being like, but they've had this action of kind of like a deer in the headlights. And that's where Blockdata has been working with a lot of these large financial market infrastructure players for actually, quite a few years at this point, educating them, their innovation departments, as well as their executive boards, trying to politely explain, hey, look, this is happening. Arguably, it's inevitable. And you potentially are going to find yourselves in a Kodak moment in a couple of years. So you got to make sure that you're kind of paying attention. And that's where Blockdata, tries to work with them and bring that understanding.
And how is it coming to life for them? Are you educating them? I know that they're asking you for certain reports. They want to look at the data and then make decisions.
Yeah, for sure. And the decision part comes later, but that is where one of the things that we consistently have to undo is the fact that whenever people think blockchain, they think cryptocurrencies, they think Bitcoin, and they think bad. This is a 2015 way of thinking.
Yeah.
And now when we look at all the innovation that's happening in the space, and the fact that the space is becoming more compliant, more larger companies are entering the space and providing services, we are getting over that hurdle, and we are moving into this next phase of innovation.
Unbelievable. And I want to dive into, I mean, you have many reports, and I will try to, I don't know, mention maybe a few that I'm interested in right now, because we're getting tons of attention for the Coin Nation Summit. For example, the NFT marketplaces, the NFT creators, this whole space. And I want to ask you a specific question, because we have so many of these on the summit. What can drive, what can lead to success, and how can we engage more people in the NFT space? And I'm talking about brands and marketing, things that you're seeing at Blockdata that is interesting right now.
Yeah, so I guess one story is when NFTs first became a thing, a big thing earlier this year, we were getting calls from so many people being like, oh, we're building an NFT platform. And my first response always was, do you have an existing community? If the answer is no, then you can build an NFT for all you want, but that is going to be your go-to-market, is building the community. Whereas for a lot of corporates and traditional organizations, they already have their community, the people that are engaged in their product, that are engaged in their brand. So that is, if you have that, that's the first big issue kind of out the way. Then when it comes to let's say, issuing the tokens and engaging the community, there are many different ways of doing it. Be that you want to have it purely digital, where you're having a digital representation, something that is unique in the digital realm, or if you actually have a physical good, that maybe you can NFT and create an authenticity tag in the digital world of that physical object. And those are kind of, let's say, two very basic NFT applications, but that is where, from a corporate perspective, where you have, for example, music streaming, which is something that Tencent is doing, where they're trying to create music NFTs. And Tencent is not a small organization, right? It is one of the big ones. Yeah. Or if you look at the if you look at the gaming space, and you look at the fact that you can have NFTs in gaming, now that is not a new use case. We had crypto kitties all the way back in 2017, and that also I think is representative of the time it takes for a lot of these ideas and technologies to mature.
Wow. You know, one example that I liked, we have so many Visa leaders on the summit. I want to mention them. Of course, they bought the CryptoPunk, and it made the whole press and a Twitter storm around it. And I think the prices went up on that week, and a lot of articles about it, which is great, which is so great. But what I liked about the Visa part is that what they say, that they want their own people to start collecting NFTs, to start opening a wallet, to start experiencing, because you cannot talk about something without experiencing it. And I wonder how is it like with other brands, and how are brands that are jumping on this NFT craze and doing it right instead of doing it wrong? Yeah,
it's a tough one to answer. I think inevitably with anything, there's going to be a lot of things that flop, right? Yeah. But to your point, the best way to learn about blockchain technology and crypto is, rather than banning your employees and owning it, which is what used to happen a couple of years ago, sounds like their approach is saying, go nuts, like let's engage with it. And that really is the best way of how to realize that cryptocurrency and the blockchain ecosystem isn't crazy, but it is something that anybody can use. So it's about that encouragement and maybe learning days or things like this, or attending something like the Coin Nation Summit.
Exactly. That's why we are doing the summit, and the whole point of the summit is connecting to do business. A lot of people are watching us, are scheduling 15-minute meeting with each other, and I wanted to say that this is, of course, it makes sense because it leads commerce. People are going to buy digital assets, own them. They need to secure them. They need to be able to pass them, to show them. Even the little Twitter avatar thing that you can replace your profile photo, right, with your own NFT collection. These small features, like they make it accessible for others, right?
Yeah, and that's where the blockchain technology is. It's very it's about layers upon layers upon layers of data, and that is where, as the base technology has evolved over the last 10 years, right? It's not new. And even that is based off 30 years worth of research. Now we're getting to the point where we are seeing this higher level, these internet services that are starting to integrate that technology. And that is a process that is also not going to happen over the next 6 months, right? It's going to take a long time. And I think with everything that Twitter is recently doing, it's small steps that are based off of years worth of work and a lot of hard work by a lot of people, but suddenly the amount of users that get access and visibility into this will just explode over time. But that's also where you get into the philosophical discussion over platforms, like what Facebook is doing with the metaverse, what Google is thinking about doing with blockchain. And this is where the ecosystem still has a lot of hurdles, because NFTs are fundamentally disruptive to the traditional economy, where there are a lot of people and a lot of money involved in protecting the ways that they've done things in the past. So we as innovators are like, yeah, but there are other companies like, hold up, let's not go too quick.
Yeah, so you are,
and that's where it's nice to,
You
And I
guys
just
are
want to say,
monitoring everything that's going on, and you make it into a simple, easy to understand reports. Wow.
yeah, that's our whole role, is to try and see, how can we try and simplify what's going on, so somebody that doesn't have the knowledge of the ecosystem can effectively come across some of our content and read through it and hopefully be like, oh yeah, okay, this has actually simplified things. We're not trying to be the most technically in-depth market intelligence company on the market. We're trying to be the one that can help people understand. And with a lot of our work at the moment, we've been hearing from the market, as well as speaking to a lot of the corporates, the compliance departments are in the way because they don't understand it. So if you look at some of our CBDC, stablecoin, institutional DeFi, it's targeted to educate these compliance departments and give them that reassurance where it's like, hey, this is okay. So they can start to build their own understanding. Because people like us, we've been in the ecosystem for a long time. For us, it all makes sense.
Yeah. You mentioned CBDCs. I've seen another report, I think, about stablecoin and CBDCs. What can you educate us about this? What was so special about the last report?
Yeah. So I think it's we all know that COVID has accelerated the digitization of arguably society, as well as payments and a reduction in cash. Now, that is where stablecoins have been around for quite a while, and especially with USDC from Circle through Center. There's been a huge amount of issuance that's happening with stablecoins, and that's because more people are using it. But that's obviously where the central banks are saying, hold up, we are not super comfortable with this. So that's where you're getting kind of two sides of the ecosystem. There is this centralized central bank digital currency, as well as a stablecoin ecosystem. And that is where these two are these innovation paths are happening side by side. And from Blockdata's perspective, we can't say that one's going to win and that one's going to win because we just don't know. And there are pros and cons to each one. But what's important for everybody to understand when thinking about blockchain, cryptocurrencies, CBDCs is the end user actually protected? Are they going to lose their assets? Is it secure? Because that's ultimately why the central banks are there, is to try and secure the monetary system. And the last thing I'll say is that's where some forward-thinking companies like Visa, that like due to the announcement that they've had recently, is saying, well, we're not going to bet on one ecosystem or another, but rather we want to sit in the middle to be able to connect the two. So it doesn't matter which one wins. And I think that is something that more and more companies in the space will probably start to pay attention to, is saying, okay, well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's a CBDC or a stable coin, because the fundamentals of blockchain-based systems are somewhat similar. So what I'm trying to get at here, and that's the final thing I'll say on this, is it's clear that we're moving towards a blockchain-based in some variety financial system. What flavor, variation of that, we don't know. And that's what we're here to track and understand.
Amazing. Jonathan, let me give you a compliment. You did a great job so far. I'm interviewing lots of people on the summit and all these topics, and sometimes it's very confusing to explain. It's a big challenge also for me, we have people who are watching you right now. We have even regulators, we have central banks, we have very, I don't know, I want to say old, but old institutions from many kinds, financial institutions, other brands that are looking at you right now. How can they work with you? How can they communicate with you and your content? Because of course we're going to share at least these two reports. I think it's relevant for the summit. We're going to share it, but how can they reach, connect, and see what you guys are doing, and what is your value proposition for them? Because now they just saw you live, and they want to connect, they want to work with you, they want to do something with Blockdata.
Yeah, so simply put, read our research is the first step that anybody can take, and just engage, share that content. If you find it educational, share it inside your organizations as well as with your friends. And that's where if your company becomes serious about adopting and integrating blockchain, then reach out to a member of our team and we'll get on a call and understand what your needs are. Even if you're a blockchain company, we want to help you explain what you're doing simply, to your point earlier about the complexities in the ecosystem. That's Blockdata's role. And if you're a large enterprise organization, we're more than happy, to help you get access to our data set, or if there is more education that needs to be done, do that education with you, help you inform and bring your teams up to speed, and hopefully make them realize and have the acceptance that blockchain is happening, and then thinking about how you're going to position your organization to actually take advantage of that.
Great work. We're going to put the links as well here on live, so people can connect. And of course, they can connect during the summit. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
You and I hope your teams are going to be on board also during these days to connect on a 15-minute call. Everybody has 15 minutes to do a smart call with an organization that knows where they want to go. And I think that Blockdata, I'm happy to have you as partners for the summit because I need by my side a knowledgeable team of people who can help us, navigate through this new economy landscape. That's exactly what you do in the infographics, in the data, the reports, the white papers that you're publishing. So thank you very, very much. And let's let them enjoy from your last reports. We're going to put it up here. Thank you.
Perfect. No, super happy.